All right, this is just a quick one, but this is a new purchase. Mostly for parts, actually all for parts. A couple weeks ago, I got a text from a guy that I've bought some. He watches the channel, but actually started buying stuff off of him before we even knew who each other were. Same guy that I bought, actually Dad would have bought the two J&M wagons off of, the one that I'm using for a seed tender, and then that other spare box. And he gave me, the same guy gave me the pieces that I needed to convert my corn head over to the new style buckle type hookups. And then anyway, his name's Joel. He's actually had some videos on YouTube. I don't know if he still got them up or not, but got a text from him a couple weeks ago, said, hey, you interested in a 6-row corn head? And I said, well, not particularly, because it doesn't really do me a whole lot of good behind this 8-row planter. I know there are guys that don't run stuff that matches up as far as row space or row count and whatnot. I don't. I like to stay on even numbers. So 8-row planter, you're gonna run an 8-row head or a 4-row head. That's what I'm gonna do. Don't need to argue that any further. But anyhow, he said, well, I've got my storage shed that I've been renting, and I'm losing it, and I got a bunch of stuff I need to get rid of. He said, I got a 6-row head that's kind of mostly for parts, but if you want, I've got enough parts to put it back together to a usable head, and a bunch of spare tin. He said, I'll give you the whole thing for 500 bucks. I was like, shut up and take my money. So I got a white 706N, which, I mean, she's seen better. I mean, she's got some rust going on. There was some, oh, where did I see it? Which one of these end row units had some rust going on in the unit frame? Yeah, that right there. No, that's not rust, that's a torch mark. Why would you torch something out there? There's nothing in there. So the end shields on it are pretty roached, but the center shields are good. He said there was a couple gearboxes, or at least one gearbox. He never ran the head. He got it as part of another deal. But he said the guy he got it from told him that there was a couple bearings out on the stock rolls or something to that effect. So I mean, it's not like you would hook it up and run with it anyhow. But there's plenty of good parts. I think this one actually has the rest of the sprockets that I need, these guys, to take my head and speed it all the way up. Because I only had one sprocket to go to the middle speed range for my stock rolls. I didn't have the one to do the cross auger and all that, but I think this one's got them. I think this has got all the sprockets I need, among, you know, and then whatnot. And then he had a 704N that he parted out. I don't know if he parted it out or if he bought the parts from it, but anyway, these are all row units from a 704N that are good. Same row unit that's on the Narrows, they just wide row head, they're spaced out wider. So I got 4 known good row units. The only thing about them is the gathering chains on all of them have seen better days. They're starting to wear back into the links a little bit, but other than that, they're perfectly good row units. Sprockets on them are fairly decent. I mean, obviously if you were going to put one on, you'd want to go through it real quick, but it's better to, you know, have them. And then I got 1, 2, 3 narrow row snouts. Or is there 4? No, there's 3 narrow row snouts. There's 1, 2 end snouts, ones that would go right here. And then I've got 3 wide row snouts, which the only thing you'd have to do to make a wide row snout and a narrow row snout is you take this center strip off and you suck them together, and then they bolt together down the center rather than having this filler plate in. So it's nothing to make these into narrow row snouts. And then I've got some wide row center tin, which I don't know if that's actually good for or usable for me or not. Actually, I think even that's usable, because it looks like the only difference between this and the wide row is this one's got this little skinny filler plate in the center. So it looks like on the center plate, or on the center tin, all you do is the same thing. You take this filler plate out and you suck it together. The front frame is probably, I don't know, I don't think it would take much, but you don't tend to really tear those up anyhow. But I got them if I need them. And then I got some other miscellaneous. I got shafts, I got some chain, I got a couple spare unit drive snap clutches. There's another set of drive sprockets in there. All the mounting hardware, or all the mounting straps to clamp the row units on the frame. All sorts of good stuff. So I got all this for 500 bucks, which I don't think I did bad, seeing how last fall when I roached that one snout, I had to give 100 bucks for one snout, and I got more snouts than I know what to do with, and row units and all sorts of stuff. So I don't think I did too bad on it, and it helped him out because he didn't have to worry about finding a place to put it or move it, and it helped me out because now I got cornhead parts running out my you-know-what. So, and he's also got he had a couple he had 2 or 3 spare final drives, and he had 2 spare hydros and a spare transmission. I'm not really concerned about the transmission, but I think I'm going to get at least one, or get a hydro off of him, and probably a final drive. So I got a spare hydro and a spare final drive laying around, because those tend to go out when you need them the most. Oh, and I got 2, these are off that 704. I got 2, actually they're really nice end tins, so they'd be, so I actually got 4 ends now, so that'd be all this, but those are actually really nice and straight. So, which they are kind of a little messed up on my head, so I might end up taking those and putting them on my head just the way they are, because these are actually straighter than mine. So we shall see. But anyhow, and there's also, and I didn't even notice till he pointed it out, because he said he was watching in one of the videos where I was working on my head, and he noticed the difference. So we're gonna look at it right now. See, this one just has on this side, and I don't know, it could also be a 4-row versus 6-row thing too. I'd almost have to look in the parts book, but this one's got one drive chain that comes off of the power shaft, goes down to the cross shaft, and that shaft would run the 3 gearboxes on this side, because the way these are run, they're split half and half. Where on my 4-row, we'll walk over here real quick. Also, we loaded that head with a 2105, and listening to that thing run really made me want to start working on that, but I don't need that right now. I got other things that need money, so that can sit. Anyhow, on my 4-row head, you've got this drive chain that goes down to that jack shaft, and then jumps over to another sprocket, and then goes forward to the drive shaft. Which you could say it's because the drive shaft has to come out farther to clear that snap clutch on the main cross shaft, but you would think they just, to eliminate, because I'm pretty sure that the gear, or I think the sprockets on that jack shaft there are a 1-to-1 ratio, so I don't think you're speeding up or slowing down through it. So I wonder why they didn't just take this shaft and add 3 inches onto it to put everything in line to run one chain, which would have simplified things, because tensioning these chains is kind of a pain, because this one tensions off, or the front one tensions by sliding that shaft forwards and back, and then this one tensions off of a tensioner sprocket. But the other difference is this is technically an Oliver head, and that's a white head, so I don't know if that would Yeah. Yeah, I guess this one is. So this one, well, I know this is an Oliver head because it's got green paint underneath, but apparently it was still badged as a white. But let's look at this one. This one's a white farm equipment tag, which this head did not come with the 7300. It originally came with a 4-row wide, and then he bought a 4-row narrow when he bought his new planter. So that one's badged as a white farm equipment. Now let's see if this one's a white farm equipment or a WFE or what this one is. This one's still a white farm equipment, but this is a WM, so this one would be a 74 or newer. So that one over there would be a, obviously before, because I don't think that one had the WM on it, did it? I don't think it did. If it's got the WM, it was built before 74, I believe. I think that's how that worked. Nope, that one does not have the WM on it. So this one's older than that one, for sure. But anyhow, that's just nothing too major. So, but I'm gonna get the row units off and throw them on that skid, and then hopefully the forklift's got enough, because we loaded it with a 2105, but he had a 3-point mast, or a 3-point, it was a Clark forklift mast that somebody had built a 3-point frame on and then had the cylinder in it, so he could set the mast down on the ground and drag it on the wheels. And the tractor at that point just became one big counterweight, where with this one we don't got that luxury. So we'll find out. But oh, and then I also got, there's a jack shaft there for a grain table. There's actually 2 grain table jack shafts that I got thrown in. So anyhow, let me get these row units off right here, and we'll see if we can pick that head off. And that stuff's all going to my house. I got to figure out where I'm going to put it, because my part storage in the milk house is kind of getting cramped as it is. And then the head, I'm just going to sit over here for now, and when I get a chance, we'll bring the 87 over here and pick it up and carry it home, because I got no way to unload it over there. And eventually what's probably going to happen when I get some free time is we'll get it picked up and strip all the good stuff off of it that I want or will ever need, and then scrap the rest of it, because I really don't want another head laying around. And having it sit outside as it is with all the parts on it, all the good parts are going to go to hell rather quickly, so you're better off just strip off what you want, get it stored under cover, and then get rid of what you don't want. So anyhow, give me a minute here and we'll see if the forklift's got enough to pick that off. Well, I wouldn't have wanted any less of a forklift. I don't think she'd have done it if we didn't have them 5 suitcase weights hanging off the back. Could have thrown more on it, but he was handling it the way it was. So, like I say, we'll bring the big combine over and carry this thing home so it's out of Dad's hair, and eventually we'll get it stripped and get rid of what's left. So, get people ask me all the time, where do you get parts for this old stuff? Well, sometimes if you want to run it reliably and not have to worry about where you're finding parts, sometimes the best place to go is yourself. And you're usually money ahead to just buy a complete parts unit that matches whatever you got, or in this case, like a 6-row head to a 4-row head, it's got more than anything I'll ever need. And like I said, for $500 I got all this, and last year I had to pay $100 for one snout. So sometimes the best thing to do is just have a complete parts unit laying around. It's a little harder to do when you have to drag a complete, like for instance, an entire parts combine home, because A, if it's dead, then you got to try to get a dead combine home, which ain't no fun, and B, then you're gotta have a place to keep a dead combine, and if you let them sit outside for too long, then all the good parts go to shit. But you don't want to keep a junk machine inside, so sometimes you're better off to do like what I'm going to do with this, and you bring it in and you look over it and you say, okay, this is what's good, this is what's not worth saving. You strip off all the good stuff, and then you pedal it off to the next person in line, or you just send her to China, unfortunately. But anyhow, gotta go home and figure out where I'm going to stuff all that stuff under cover. So I guess that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one.